Ma'am, I understand, but that zombie is gonna take a bite out your ass if you don't put it down. I know it's your son.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Brendan, back again with another video for Neuway Media, and today we're going to be doing another horror short film lighting breakdown. You guys responded really well to my first horror short film lighting breakdown that I did last year, and this is for a new horror short film that I just shot for this past Halloween. It won a couple of awards, got in some festivals. It got picked for the Vimeo Short of the Week, so I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to share with you guys, again, some lighting breakdowns for the horror genre. So this film is called Don't Die First. Link to it will be in the description below. It's basically exploring a lot of horror genre tropes and kind of making fun of them, and it goes from being a horror comedy to a little bit more of a dramatic, dark twist at the end, which I feel like is a really good payoff narratively. And this was a lot of fun to shoot. We had some really great production value with the locations and the set design, which I'm really excited to share with you guys and talk a little bit about that process and how important that is for the cinematography and developing the look of a movie. And yeah, so really excited about this one. Hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get right into it. Okay, so let's first start by talking about the two opening shots of the movie, two nighttime exterior scenes. These were two of my favorite shots in the whole movie, and they are what the movie opened with. So what we had here was the kind of like a cabin in the woods log cabin in the background, kind of filling most of the frame. That's this here. We had our main character of this shot standing here, looking this way. The camera just behind his right side, kind of filming like that. And where did I put the lights in the scene? So the most crucial part of filming and lighting a nighttime exterior scene is mostly the positioning and direction of the lights themselves, because you want to light it bright enough that you can see what's happening, but also still make it feel dark. So the best way I've found to do that and make it still feel dark is to keep the foreground dark, or keep the camera side of the subject dark. So for instance, the main character here, keeping the camera side dark while lighting from the back side, we wanted to be able to see the moon in the shot, and obviously not the actual moon, because the actual moon would be very tiny in frame and you wouldn't see any detail in it. It would be completely blown out. So basically we faked the moon. The way we did that was with a film light. So I had a little like 1 foot LED panel that I basically put hidden behind some plants and some bushes, and hidden behind kind of the main character from the view of the camera. There was a light basically right here that was a 1 foot LED panel that was basically flooded out. So it was shining a little bit on the building, the log cabin itself, and also kind of shining on the scene a little bit, kind of in all directions like that. And the actual source of the light was visible on camera, and that source was then digitally replaced in post with the basically VFX of the moon itself. And then some other lights that I used were, I had my trusty Aperture 120D right to the right side of camera here, shining basically shining on just the subject himself. So when he turned towards camera, the aperture would flash in the lightning effect to create a little lightning flash on his face when he turned towards camera. And we just manually activated that by having a crew person standing right here ready to press that button on cue. And then a few of the other lights that we had on this scene were basically a couple of Astera Titan tubes scattered around basically behind camera along the edge of the scene itself, and they were just flooding onto the scene basically from the side to help side light some of the plants, to help side light our main character, and to create a little bit more fill on the middle ground and the foreground. That was basically everything in this. And then in order to spice it up even more, we had a little haze machine back here hidden kind of just behind there was like a deck porch thing here. So just behind that, so the camera didn't see it, just putting out some haze, which really, really helps sell the moon effect, having some kind of moonlit god rays coming through from where the actual VFX moon was placed in post. So yeah, quite a simple setup. Oh, and of course, you can't forget we had practical lights on inside the building, in the kind of like main living room, right in the kind of the front door, which is like right center frame, and then another window here, which was sort of blocked by more foliage, so just a little bit of extra light coming through, and it helps having those lights be more of a tungsten warm color, and all the rest of the lights outside being that more steely blue, kind of ice blue color. The color contrast helps like separate foreground and background a bit more, and just add a little bit more dimensionality to the shot. So that's the first shot, and the second shot is basically the camera here being over on this side of the actor facing backwards. And now I will show you how we did that shot. So for the reverse shot of that, the actor kind of turned around and faced the opposite direction. We had the camera on the opposite side facing back over his same shoulder facing the other way. And we had two other talent kind of like walking towards camera like this, revealing them through basically a bunch of smoke, a bunch of fog, which we had a fog machine kind of back here creating a bunch of fog, and that was hidden behind a tree here. We had established before that the moon was somewhere over here. Let me use red for that. The moon was somewhere over here, kind of shining this way. And so in the reverse, what's great about movies is you don't actually have to necessarily keep the continuity between the direction of the light from a shot reverse shot. So you would expect that when we go to the reverse shot of this, it would just be completely like front lit by moonlight this way. But in fact, if you change the direction of the light to a completely different direction, our direction of the light was actually sort of two separate directions. We had a little bit of moonlight coming from this way, and also a little bit of moonlight coming as a fill from the opposite way. So we sort of had a key fill situation going on. It doesn't strike you as feeling incongruent at all, even though the direction of the moonlight is technically not continuous. So that's just a little tip, and this isn't just for nighttime moonlight scenes, but it's for any scene that you do. The reverse doesn't always have to perfectly match the continuity of the direction or number of sources. You're seeing basically a completely different background, and it basically allows you to cheat a little bit. And instead of having more light be more of the same moonlight, I actually did another pool of light back here, kind of shining on the background, there's like a wheelbarrow back there, and a little shed back there as well. And that I decided to use a little bit of tungsten light, just like we did in our first setup, where we had some light inside the log cabin be tungsten, as to separate the background a bit and break up some of that monochromatic flatness. The tungsten light back here is another one of my Astera Titan tubes, and then I had a couple more Astera Titan tubes scattered kind of behind the shed over here, and then another one kind of behind the tree plant bushes area over there, to just help kind of add a little bit more moonlight rim light on some of the shadows and structures back there, to just help shape the light and break it up so it's not completely underexposed darkness back there.
Jay, what are you doing in there?
You got this.
Who are you talking to?
Okay, so for our next setup here, we move inside the log cabin to a bathroom scene. So the bathroom it was a little bit more of a complex shape, but for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to draw a rectangle. The setup of the bathroom was we had a tub over here, we had a door outside here, there was actually a wall like this that was with a little door to where the toilet was. There was a window here looking to the backyard, and the exit door into the hallway was right there, and we had a sink. I think the sink was something like that. And so it was a pretty tight space, and we still wanted to create some contrasty dark lighting, and with small spaces, if you're trying to light it, it's really easy to overlight it and make it too bright. What we were really fortunate and lucky about this specific room was that it was very dark walls and even a dark ceiling, and that basically helps prevent spill light. So when you start to light, any of the spill light doesn't bounce around and fill in any of your shadows, which really helps sculpt the light and create a dark contrasty scene, which is really important for specifically a horror film, but really for any dramatic film that you're trying to make dramatic lighting. So we had our main character standing here, kind of looking out this way, and then he also had a moment where he kind of turned around and looked out the window to the backyard and then turned back this way. We had two camera angles, so I had one camera angle where the camera was about here filming like that, and then I had another camera angle which was the reverse to get his action where he was looking out the window. For this reverse angle, I was really fortunate to be able to basically do a low angle where I was looking up at him to kind of mix it up, make it a little bit of a different feel, and help with the really cramped space, because I was so close to him. If I was just straight flat on eye level with him, he would have been a lot closer to camera and the whole space would have been a lot tighter. So by doing a sort of an extreme low angle allowed me to get another 3-4 feet from his face and kind of keep that like medium wide shot that I wanted. And then what really allowed me to do that was by having the dark ceiling, pointing up at him at the dark ceiling. If that was just a white ceiling, it would have been a lot flatter, a lot more boring, and not an interesting shot. So having a dark ceiling like that was really important. So when you're thinking about production design and thinking about your location scouting and trying to find your locations, that was so crucial and so great to have. The other really cool part about this room was that it had these really interesting wall sconces, which I'm sure you noticed. So we had a wall sconce here and a wall sconce here. Those were kind of putting some nice pools of light on the walls that they were next to, but because the walls were dark, it wasn't completely filling the whole room, which was really nice. So those were acting as practicals in the background, giving us a little bit of a white reference. If you've never heard of the term white reference before, it's an easy way to make a scene feel brighter than it is. Everything else could be completely black, but if you have some white references in your shot, basically some practical light somewhere, that helps it feel like it's brighter. So a window backlit with some sheer curtains could be a white reference. Anything, a TV turned on could be a white reference. So practical is really nice. I did my best to expose for those practicals and not completely blow them out, and to try to get my key light on the subject, on the main actor here, bright enough so I could stop down for those practicals, because they were quite bright, and we didn't spend time swapping out bulbs or anything. The next challenge was what direction do I have the light coming from to light the subject but also still create some shape. So basically what I did was I squeezed a little C-stand back here next to the tub, sticking out my little Aperture 120D with a softbox. So that lit my subject from the side of his face, but then kept the back side of his body pretty dark, even with these wall sconces shining on him, which created some nice depth, which was really good.
Halloween night, prime time for white people to start doing dumb shit that gets their black friends killed. You up, Craig? Good luck.
Don't die first. Please state your emergency.
Okay, so for the final scene that I want to share with you guys today, it is the interior nighttime office scene. And this was shot at a soundstage, which was really fun to shoot. It's always fun to completely design everything from the ground up. All the production design, the layout of all the furniture, and completely artificial lighting. It's always super fun to do. So this was cool to completely build something from my and the director's imagination and see it come to life. It's always special when doing that on a soundstage as compared to doing it on location, where most of the stuff on location was completely of our invention, but like a lot of the interior design, for instance, was kind of already there. So it was more finding the location, not really building the location ourselves. So this made it really special. So let me draw what the kind of setup of the office was. So again, we kind of have a big rectangle, and it was actually a 3-wall set, so this wall wasn't actually there. We had kind of an opening back here, like a doorway to a narrow little hallway back here. We had the kind of first character's desk right here, and then the second character's desk kind of like this. And we kind of set these desks up that way, so that way we could have one character sitting here kind of looking that way, and the other character sitting here looking this way. So we could kind of film the one character from a profile and the other character, who was the main character, from a frontal, and still be filming that from the same direction. So the main character kind of gets front on, and the supporting character kind of gets a side profile, or kind of like a 45-degree kind of an angle. And then we could do our master shot where the camera was back a little bit and we could see kind of the both of them, or we could shoot kind of from this angle and get that way and kind of see more of the room as a whole. And it gave us a lot of options, kind of having the desks in this orientation, which was cool. And we had a dolly track for some of the shots going across like this, so we could dolly left and right, back and forth between the two characters, which was really cool. There was a window here. There was a practical, so there's a kind of a green practical on the desk right here, which added some cool color contrast. I had my Aperture 120D outside of this window, kind of shooting in this way, and kind of hitting the wall with the window blinds and everything, creating some really nice kind of Venetian blind effects. So kind of a neo-noir sort of feel. So that was really, really crucial for kind of lighting the background, but keeping the light off the foreground entirely, so it feels dark but still lit. Again, that's kind of the going theme here. So then I had a little kind of light shining on the back wall back here, my little 300-watt Fresnel. Tungsten light kind of shining on the bricks back here through this wall to create a nice accent pull of light back there. Then I sort of did a top light on the both of them with a little sort of can light with a household tungsten bulb inside of it, hanging off of a menace arm that was kind of sticking over the whole set, off of a combo stand back here. So sticking way over the whole set, and hanging down was a little hi-hat, which just created a little hair light on them from above, while still kind of keeping that light off of the walls themselves. And then finally, the last light that I had was one of my Astera Titan tubes. Kind of, depending on where my camera angle was, the stand was either over here, holding the Titan tube out like this, or the stand was over here, holding the Titan tube out like this to either key our character here or key our character here from the side. So having this set up with a lot of the units kind of fixed in place and kind of lighting the scene instead of just lighting every specific shot separately. For one, it allowed our actors to get up and move around. So I had our main actor, in one scene he was sitting over here. In one scene he gets up and he sits in the supporting actor's chair when she gets up and stands in the middle of the room. So they were able to be in all these different positions. We even had a shot where the camera was over here looking that way. So in all these different camera angles, I was basically able to use the exact same lighting setup while just moving our key light around on a C-stand, which allowed us to be very mobile and get a whole lot of coverage in basically a half a day of shooting. Was all the scenes that we did in this set. And so that's a really important takeaway, not just thinking about what's going to look the best, but also thinking about what is going to be the most efficient and what's going to allow your actors some flexibility in their performances. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind that final setup, and I think there are a lot of really good takeaways and really good lessons and learning experiences for doing something completely from the ground up on a sound stage like this, getting to light a whole set, getting to work closely with a director to make sure his vision was met, and to even get to work closely with the actors and figure out the blocking together before we even finished setting it up was really, really cool. So I hope you guys got some good takeaways as well from these 3 or 4 setups that I showed you. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them. And I will see you guys in the next video.